1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast, is proudly sponsored by The Terrace, the home of retro and fan culture sports merchandising. Check out their range of Forest merch by visiting theterracestore.com or visit them on social media.
The 1865 Match Report.
Hello and welcome to the 1865 Match Report. We are recording after a memorable and enjoyable FA Cup victory over Arsenal. It finished 1-0 to Forest, and it's a repeat of 2018. Forest knocking Arsenal out of the Cup in the third round at the City Ground, and another brilliant night for Forest fans to enjoy. The game itself was probably, for the first hour or so, wasn't the most exciting. I think it was more of an intriguing battle tactically, how Forest set themselves up against a top four side and how they navigated that threat and the quality that these top four Premier League sides offer. But in the second half, midway through, the game started to spice up a bit and Forest got on top. Chances for Zinkernagel after a great run by Brennan Johnson. His cross came in. Zinkernagel's shot was saved. James Garner went close with a free kick that Bernd Leno palmed away. But the big moment, the moment that we're all going to remember, 83 minutes, Ryan Yates down the right-hand side puts in a peach of a cross, and Lewis Grabban is there to tuck it home and give the Reds a memorable victory and a place in the fourth round of the FA Cup. A brilliant night, and I've got somebody alongside me, our very own Tom Newton, who was there in amongst it all at the City Ground. Tom, how are you feeling after that? Have you come down yet?
No, I'm still up there. It was an absolutely brilliant evening on Trentside, and I mean, prior to, when the draw was made a few weeks ago, you think, oh, here we go, it's Arsenal again, but you never, you never get bored of beating a top Premier League side, and we've done it again. And like I said, the atmosphere was brilliant, and for a Forest fan, the match was brilliant, and yeah, it was a really good evening down on Trentside.
I was a little bit worried about the draw just based off the last time that we played Arsenal. Granted, it was at the Emirates, but the League Cup game that finished 5-0, and Arsenal were on a different level that night. But tonight, it was a much more level playing field and a far more competitive game. Yeah,
I mean, when we've played the likes of Chelsea and then Arsenal and Carabao Cup a couple of years ago, we've basically played a scratch second 11 really. And when I was in the TBI and when the teams come through, I thought fair play for Forest for actually going, because I thought he made changes. I thought you will probably play some of the kids, but no, he's put Samba in and everything, and I was pleasantly surprised with the team he put out. And you think, yeah, we could get out these, because if you looked at the Arsenal side, their front four, Martinelli, Nketiah and Sakho, and then Odegaard behind, I thought they could really hurt us. But if you look at their back four, I think with the quality we had on the pitch that night, if we get into the right areas, we could hurt Arsenal. And even though there wasn't loads of chances in the game, over the 90 minutes, Forest deserved that this evening. And I will go on record and saying that is probably the most disciplined Forest performance I've ever seen, because you look at Arsenal, you know that you've got quality, you know you've got internationals all over the field, but it was a case of like Forest saying, well, you have the ball, but you are not going to break us down. And they never got behind us once. And Brice Samba's probably had the easiest game in his career against a team who's got ambitions of being in the top four of the Premier League and being in the Champions League. And Forest, every single player on that pitch, and along with the fans and Steve Cooper, were excellent tonight.
Everyone played their part, didn't they? It was, as a collective performance, it was fantastic. And I think you're right there with the discipline that Forest showed. We haven't seen that very often from Forest teams, certainly in the modern era. You got to go back a good 20 years to see that kind of disciplined performance. It was yet really great to see. Just going back on the team, I think the big thing that stood out was that this is a side that could easily be playing in the league every week, and this is Cooper's strongest team when you look at it. The three at the back, the three central defenders, of Worrell, McKenna, and then Steve Cook coming in to make his debut, with Spence and Colback on the wings, Yates and Garner in midfield, and then Zinkernagel and Johnson playing behind Keenan Davis, who also made his Reds debut. So that's two of the January signings put in for this game. And I thought both of them, in their own way, were very good on the night. Steve Cook was, he slotted into that defence as if he'd been a Forest player for 10 years, not a Bournemouth player. He was excellent, wasn't he?
Yeah, he showed that bit of class. You can see that he's played at a high level. His calmness on the ball was brilliant, and he actually can pick out a pass. And Worrell can play a bit, and we've seen from McKenna he can play a bit. And having three centre halves comfortable on the ball of how Steve Cooper wants to play is just going to play in our hands this season for the remaining months, because with them being comfortable on the ball, it gives everybody a bit of a breather. Then we can push up and some of the passing what Steve Cook was finding and finding Johnson and etc. It was brilliant, and I mean he's only 30, I think, so he's got a number of decent years still ahead of him. So we have got a top player in my eyes, and every time I saw him play for Bournemouth, I thought he was pretty decent. And it's just a pleasure that we got him at the club. I know it's just one game, but if he can do that against top class opposition, then you can see him doing that week in, week out in the Championship.
Yeah, definitely. It bodes well, doesn't it, for when he's actually settled in the team and he's playing games regularly. So a promising debut from Steve Cook. I thought Keenan Davis as well. He was a real handful for the Arsenal defenders, and had some really nice touches as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when the ball come into him, he just had that. You can see where he's been playing his football. I mean, okay, you might look at his goal scoring stats and they're probably not as impressive as others, but you can tell that he's got a bit of a quality, and he can hold the ball up really, really well. And that is going to play dividends if, say, Graben's unavailable or whatever, and if he can hold the ball up, and you've got Zinkernagel around him, Brennan Johnson, etc., then it's, again, that's another bit of quality that's going to be really helpful in the next few months of this season.
Yeah, and the early signs on these January signings are that they're really going to enhance the team and offer something different to what we've already had, which is promising. We'll come on to the game itself, and more so how Forest approached it. They set up as they would normally do in the league with that same kind of system as we've mentioned, but they allowed Arsenal plenty of the ball, almost as if to say, come at us and we will try and pick you off. But coming back to the point you made about how disciplined Forest were, watching the game, I didn't feel too concerned that Forest were allowing Arsenal so much possession. Did you feel the same?
I didn't feel concerned, because at not one point did they get behind us. There was a couple of times where the only danger I thought was when they were playing through the lines, and players like Odegaard and Martinelli was coming off the wings, etc., and they were finding that little pocket of space. And there's a couple of occasions where we didn't pick them up, but like Worrell, McKenna, and Cook were quite happy for them to have the ball, because they knew that they weren't getting in the space behind. Then you got Sam, who's pretty alert goalkeeper as well. So I wasn't too concerned with Arsenal when they had the ball, because we've seen it before. They try and play it around, and I was just confident in how Forest approached the game that they could be still playing now, and I don't think Arsenal would score, because Bruce Sambers probably had the easiest game of his career. He's not had one save to make, and this is a team who's got aspirations of being a regular top four in the Premier League every season, and Sambers not been bothered.
And that's testament, isn't it, to the level of the performance from the Forest team collectively. Everybody was playing their part, and I think you'd be hard pressed to pick somebody out who didn't contribute or didn't really step up. I thought they were all excellent.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been so easy for Forest play, not give them a disservice, but it was probably so easy that some Forest players could have gone to press the ball and they would be pulled all over the place. But no, it's well, you can come up the pitch, but you're not going to break us down, because we was that resolute tonight. And that's testimony to Steve Cooper. Since he's walked in, we've mentioned it on the pod in the past, he has been a breath of fresh air, and it's just a matter of right manager, right time at the moment, and he gets it. And it's nice that we're building something then with the signings what we've made. It's nice that we've made them early in January rather than waiting for the last minute and getting some crumbs off the table because the players what other clubs don't want. It's so refreshing, and the club's an excellent place to be at the moment.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing that with the quality of player that's coming in and what they're already beginning to offer this Forest side. I really liked Cooper's post-match interview as well on ITV, where he spoke about how he wanted the players to believe that they could perform on such a stage. You know, Premier League opposition live on national TV with a big audience watching, and not only did they perform, but they got the results and a fantastic one at that. And I think it's a big victory for Cooper as well, actually. We talk about how good Forest have been attack-wise under him and the goals that they've scored, but defensively as well, they've been very good. And I think tonight was the real kind of peak of that under Cooper so far.
And another thing, it wouldn't have been an easier week for him because obviously the Barnsley game was postponed because of COVID reasons. According to reports, this game tonight, it was really on a knife edge by Friday, I think it was, that the game might have been postponed because Arsenal had COVID cases. And I'm not like making that as an excuse for them because they lost the game tonight, but they had enough quality on that pitch to do something against us and didn't. But coming back to Forest, we don't know how many COVID cases, so it would have been like a disjointed week for Steve Cooper to get those players believing and getting a game plan in place. I think it's testimony to the players and him of what a result after a tricky week he's had.
Absolutely. And even though it feels like a long time ago now, you look at the results around Christmas time as well, the defeats to Middlesbrough and Huddersfield on the bounce, and then not being able to respond to that by playing Barnsley, and that's another week without a game. And then you come on to Arsenal and the challenges that they could face. But Forest stepped up and put in a fantastic performance and a brilliant result achieved with it as well. Jed Spence, again, I thought was excellent. He just seems to get better with every game. And I had quite a few friends texting me throughout, just talking about, some of them Arsenal fans as well, talking about just how good he was and how impressed they were with the way he performed.
Yeah, it was excellent again. And it's just really nice that we've got him until the end of the season. If we get him beyond this season, it's an absolute bonus, but he's just a joy to watch. And it just gives us so much energy in the side, and it gives us a real platform to build upon when he's running up the wing, and you've got obviously Brennan Johnson in front of him. He's a really pleasure to watch at the moment.
Both of them performed well down that right-hand side, didn't they? And Johnson, there's been some question marks over his form recently, but tonight I thought he was looking back to what he can really offer us with that pace and penetration down the right-hand side.
Yeah, with Brennan Johnson, he's going to be a young player anyway, so it's like an experience learning curve for him, isn't it? He's going to have highs and he's going to have lows, and probably by his own admission, he hasn't probably been his normal self in recent weeks. But yeah, he's back to his best tonight, and he had everybody had a decent game, but he had a decent game as well. So yeah, really good performance.
And I saw a comment from somebody on Twitter saying that he's probably added a good couple of million onto his asking price on the basis of that performance alone. And same too for Spence, the way that he's now performing so consistently and so well, it is a real bonus that we've managed to keep hold of him for the remainder of the season. At least it gives us a chance of possibly achieving something come the end of the campaign. Coming on to the midfield then, so Ryan Yates and James Garner in the middle, and I thought neither of them put a foot wrong, did they, in the game? I thought they were both on it and both excellent.
Yeah, brilliant. Just like breaking up the play then with Ryan Yates, both what he's put in to grab him was excellent. He couldn't have put in the cross any better. And then Garner, his harassing players and everything in terms of getting the ball back for Forest was a massive bonus tonight. And I think he had an excellent game, Jack Colback, but James Garner does a lot of things in front of him, and it just gives you that bit of assurance that you got a player who's got that bit of energy and he's got that bit of tenacity about him, that he's willing to get the ball back and and he had that free kick, and from where I was in the Upper Bridgeford, and I thought it was in. It was a brilliant save by Bernd Leno, but he couldn't have hit that any better.
And for the goal, then we're going to talk through it, because why not? It was a great goal and a great moment. So Ryan Yates charges down the ball in midfield, ricochets off him, and then it comes back to him as he starts making a run down the right-hand side. And he whips this ball across, which is, well, it's perfect for Graben. It's perfect for the defenders can't deal with it. It's right in that difficult spot. And then Graben's just running onto it nicely to prod it home. And he does well there, Graben, to control the finish at full stretch and almost guide it into the back of the net. And then he's wheeling away. The fans are going wild. It was, a brilliant moment.
Yeah, brilliant goal. And if you look at the cross, it's Graben goes into time to perfection, because there's just an Arsenal player just in front of him. So he's got to time it right. If he times it wrong, he either misses it or he blazes it over the bar. And it's the top cross from Ryan Yates. And I think since Steve Cooper's come in, his delivery and his passing has been absolutely brilliant since Steve Cooper's come in. And if that was in the Premier League, everybody be raving about it. It was just a top class cross, and Graben does what Graben does 9 times out of 10 in that position, finishes it off. So it was a lovely finish. And then it's just looking at the game, it was one of those, if Forest would have, it probably sounds daft, but if Forest scored like earlier in the game, then that might put the onus a bit on Arsenal. I think because it was in the 83rd minute and there wasn't much time left, they probably heads had gone because of the atmosphere around the City ground tonight. I think some of their heads dropped thinking we're not going to get anything out of this. And apart from that Eddie Nketiah header, which it didn't really bother Sam in goal, then they brought Lacazette on, which was a bit strange, because when he come on, I would have thought he would have played up front with Nketiah, and he played in midfield, which Lacazette's got class. So it was just a bit strange that he wasn't up front with Nketiah and went into a midfield role. So I'm not, to be honest,
we can't complain, can we? No, it's no. The Nketiah one was the big chance. It's 0-0 at that point, and if Arsenal score the first goal, then there's every chance that they could go on and win it, just because of how Forest, it might have knocked the stuffing out of him. You don't know. It's a bit of guesswork, but that was a huge opportunity that they missed, really, at a potential pivotal point of the game.
Yeah, the same thing happened last time when they played us at the City Ground when we won 4-2 in 2018. I think it was David Vaughan played a bit of a loose pass and Nketiah ran onto it. And I think that was at a pivotal stage in the game. Was it like Forest were like only 3-2 up or something like that?
Yeah.
I think
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan Smith's he tipped on the post and Walcott's tried to score and get the rebound, and he's hit it straight into the side netting. So again tonight that was a pivotal moment, and it could have been a completely different game if that went in. But no, it was relatively poor headed, to be honest. And obviously a few moments later we scored, and the rest of this history, as they say.
Yeah, and I think it was coming in that Forest were getting more of a foothold in the game and they were getting stronger, and then it culminated in the goal. And after the goal goes in, Arsenal, you'd expect them to come back and it be a bit of an onslaught for the last sort of 7-8 minutes. But they weren't as much of a threat in those closing stages. And maybe that's just it. They just didn't have the players on the pitch to really trouble us.
Yeah, I think they had a free kick from Forest's left-hand side, and then they had a corner. But apart from that, they didn't really do anything to threaten Forest, really. So, but you look at the side in the pot. I know he's on international duty with Gabon at the moment, Aubameyang. But apart from that, and they brought Lacazette on, I don't think there's many other players they could have relied on in an attacking threat, really. I can't think of any. Can you think of anybody who could actually come on and do anything apart from Lacazette?
No, I think they kind of threw on all of their options. I mean, I think they've been hit a little bit by COVID, and they've got a couple of players out. And it's almost like when Forest scored, it was game over to a degree. Didn't seem that Arsenal had the fight or desire in them. Kolasinac came on in the latter stages when they're chasing a goal, and perhaps that's an indicator really that they didn't have that depth to, certainly attack-wise, to really fight back.
But the same thing happened when we last played Arsenal when Wenger was manager, he didn't really have much assurance on the bench. I think he only had Danny Welbeck and Nketiah, and Lacazette was on the bench, but apart from that, he didn't have any insurance. And same things happened for us. So beating them in the third round, and we'll go on to the fourth round. So
you can only beat what's put in front of you, and that's exactly what Forest have done.
Yeah.
Look at, and the scenes at the final whistle were fantastic.
Yeah,
players embracing and the ground erupting. We haven't seen scenes like that very often at Forest in recent memory. So it's nice. It's nice to experience that, and there are a lot of kids in the crowd as well who perhaps were a bit too young even for 2018 against Arsenal.
Yeah.
It's nice having those kind of games and those moments like that. It feels like that those kind of times, something's being built again at the club, and there's a bit of a surge going on, and people are coming on board and really starting to get behind this team and the manager, and everything that's going on at the club at the moment is a real feel-good factor.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's 23 years now since we've been in the Premier League, and some clubs have been in the Premier League more recently than us and don't get the crowds in. And I mean, there's 24,000 there today for whatever reason. It wasn't a full house, but yeah, something's building here, and it's great to see, and long may it continue.
Just before we wrap up, what would you say was the key plan, if you like, that won the game for Forest? Perhaps a tactical move or a setup that Steve Cooper introduced that allowed Forest to go on and win this game. We mentioned before we started recording about how the Forest approached the game in different stages. Did you think that was a plan that was probably put in place from the offset?
Yeah, I think the first 20 minutes was key. Don't lose a goal. But then as soon as that 20 minutes was over, then you can build on that. With the experience of McKenna in there, and Steve Cook and Worrell, it was like, well, this is our line. We're not going to go any deeper than it. Let them have the ball. Nobody's going to get in behind. And by each 10, 20 minutes that passed in the game, Forest confidence think we can do something here. And in the past, we've played Premier League clubs. We've had a hatful of chances, not put them away. And the Premier League side have had one chance, stuck it away, and we've been knocked out of whatever competition we're in. But tonight, we didn't have many chances, but the one chance what we did get, we put it away. And it was brilliant. And hopefully we can carry on this good run. And it'd be nice to have a cup run, because the last time we had a cup run, I can't. Well, it's been so long, I can't remember the last time. But no, it's nice to actually hopefully have a cup run and see where it takes us.
Definitely, and it's Leicester in the fourth round at home. They are the FA Cup holders, and to be honest, it would be nice to knock them out as holders, wouldn't it?
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, they absolutely love to think that the derby is Leicester Forest, and to be honest, we don't really give a toss about them really, because their nearest local rivals are Coventry, and we all know in the East Midlands that it's all about Forest Derby, who we've got in a couple of weeks. So yeah, they're itching to get a rivalry going, and we don't really care about them really, but it'd be nice to beat them. And the last time we beat the FA Cup holders was Arsenal a few years ago, so it'd be nice to do the same thing to Leicester at the start of February.
It would be. And looking back on the performance today and perhaps what Forest can take from it now into the next couple of league games, it's Millwall away coming up next weekend. Do you think that this kind of result in the Cup can now give Forest a kick again as they come back into league form?
Yeah, definitely, because you can see that they've got quality on the pitch, and on the day, I'm not saying they're a match for the likes of Liverpool, Chelsea or Man City, but if everybody's at it, then I can't see why not. We can go on like a bit of a run now, and Millwall's never the easiest place to go. You could be in the Premier League and they could be in League One, and it's still not an easy game to go to the New Den. But no, this has given us like a bit of confidence after like a couple of iffy games over the Christmas period. So fingers crossed we can build upon it now and see where it takes us, and hopefully the odd couple of signings can really improve us and see where it takes us over the next few months.
Thanks, Tom. And we will be back with you with a report for the Millwall game next weekend. We've also got our big pod just around the corner. So make sure that you're following our feed, subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, and keep up to date with the latest match reports and events from the City Ground. Until next time, thanks for listening.